talking to Ms. Sheila Denny and Mr. Ron Crowder. And of course, Ms. Denny and Mr. Crowder, before we had our final break, we were talking about some of the things associated with the belief of whatnot, dealing with AIDS and HIV and whatnot. But during this last 6 minutes, let's give the two of you an opportunity to sort of summarize and fill in as much as you possibly can in the time that we have, some information that you think that our audience ought to know about this disease at this particular time. I think that we've indicated that it's a disease that we might be able to manage better now. But what should they know about this disease now over the next 5 minutes?
Well, they need to know, first of all, it is 100% preventable. And so it's a behavioral thing. If we have the knowledge and can deal with risk reduction behavior, skills building behavior, negotiating when you're in a risky situation, these are things that need to take place. Parents should have a very comfortable, trusting line of communication with their children so that the child can come to them with anything and the parent can be informed to give them facts to save their child's life, to keep them from being at risk. Safer sex practices are highly necessary. Not only are young people becoming infected, but we have populations that are divorced, that are widowed, that are dating again, who are not asking the right questions. And even if asking, you know, it's like ask, don't tell. So you need to take it upon yourself to be safer by, if you're going to engage in sexual activity, then you need to have responsible, safer activity. You were saying something about disclosure.
And another thing I would like to say is about people disclosing. Now, I know that's a very tough thing to do, but what happens is if nobody sees anybody in their community who is positive or they know it's positive, then therefore it's like it ain't over here. And that's what's happening in the African American and the Latino communities, is that people do not disclose. So therefore, even after people die with it, it's always he died with cancer.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because over the many shows that we've had dealing with this as an issue, that issue has always come up. Nobody ever dies with AIDS.
Or the
it's always
complications,
something
right,
else. And I believe from the conversations we've had that we can almost say it's almost like it's very hidden, in the sense that a person can be active one day and then all of a sudden he disappears or she disappears, and nobody ever hears from them again until they die of cancer or whatever else they die of, and etc. Talk about it from that perspective.
And I just need to say, this is a community problem, therefore it requires a community response. I was just talking to a lady who was infected yesterday, and she felt she couldn't talk to anybody. And I said to her, what have you done that most young ladies your age haven't done? And it was nothing. She just simply got caught by the bug, in love with her husband. You understand what I'm saying? And see, these the type of issues we're going to have to work through in our community. Now, if she felt that she couldn't even tell nobody in her community, or even her family, how do you think the other people feel? So that's the biggest problem, disclosure. It was the same way if somebody have cancer. You just don't kick them to the curb. You don't say this, that, and the other about them. So what we're going to have to do is accept people for who they are. And they, you know, if you just look at it, they've done nothing any other people their age haven't done. They just simply done it with the wrong person and got infected.
Which is, I'm sorry, Ron, but which is why, in terms of segueing on the fact that it's a community response, in the African American community, our churches have to take a front line. Metropolitan Interdenominational Church with the First Response Center has been very active and effective in reaching out to people infected and affected. I did a training at Cleveland Street Baptist Church. Ministers are getting it in their heads that they have to open up this dialogue to their congregation. Otherwise, they'll be losing people in their congregation, and those who are infected won't feel like they can talk to the church members, the church family, and that's what it's supposed to be. I thought the church was a hospital for sick people, sin sick or bodily sick or whatever. It needs to be a refuge in a time of storm.
Very good, and of course, over this last minute and a half that we have here, Ms. Denny and Mr. Crowder, let me simply thank the two of you, and certainly is to elicit from either of the two of you a final comment. But before we do that, I certainly want to thank you for coming by and giving us that information. As we said earlier, Ms. Denny, you were with us and you gave us some excellent information.
Thank
you
you.
and Mr. Douglas Tonk came by and gave us some excellent information about the AIDS Training Center and that kind of information. And Mr. Crowder, I cannot begin to tell you how much we appreciate you coming and the courage that you've had in terms of dealing with this as an issue and letting our audience know that this is a disease that has had some impact upon you personally here. And so we know that that's not an easy thing to do, and we certainly appreciate your courage for coming and doing that for us. Final comment.
And I'd just like to say, if anybody have any questions, I'd just like to say they can call me at Project Code. My number is area code 615-327-5886, and we are located in the Lord Elam Center at Meharry Medical.
You're a case manager for Project Code.
Counselor, case manager, outreach worker, you name it, we do it.
And we have training coming up throughout the year. So if anyone, a healthcare provider or allied health or interested person needs training, call us at 327-6834.
Thank you very much. And let me thank the two of you, and let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you.